Well, on today's program, I'm really pleased to welcome Bill Squires. He's the owner of the Right Stuff Consulting. It's a company that focuses on sports and entertainment facilities and the event management industry. Welcome, Bill. How are you today?
Jeff, I'm doing great.
Bill, let's talk about sports a little bit. You've been around the world of sports. Give us a quick recap on that.
I was hired, by the New York Yankees, a gentleman by the name of Mr. George M. Steinbrenner III, who was the owner of the team. I met him while I was in the Navy. I kind of asked him, how do you get in this industry? And he offered me a job. And I worked for the Yankees for 3 years, managing old Yankee Stadium. Then I came across the river and I managed Giant Stadium for 6 years. From there, I went to Disney's Wide World of Sports, which is now called ESPN Wide World of Sports. And that's where the NBA and MLS had their games last year. Then I went to Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, which is now called First Energy Stadium, and managing all the venues. And my last full-time job before I became a consultant was managing Old Giant Stadium once again from 2000 to 2002, where I was a vice president general manager of the venue. But a long history, going on 34 years. I think it was in February. I'm a past president of Stadium Managers Association. I'm involved with a bunch of organizations that are involved in different aspects of managing venues, whether it be security, guest services, those kind of things. So I'm still very much involved.
So after you survived your huge scare with COVID-19 and you were back on your feet, you probably started to think about your career, and GBAC STAR accreditation caught your attention. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think when I got home from rehab. I teach a graduate course at Columbia University in sports facility and event management. And the only, reference guide we have is the Sports Business Journal. And I was catching up because I had, months of sports business journals I hadn't read. And so I spent my time going through them. And I saw the article about GBAC STAR program and what they were doing down at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And, when I was going through rehab, I started thinking about, the future, about how this virus and the pandemic was going to change the world that, I lived in sports and entertainment. I realized that this pandemic was going to change the way the buildings were going to be cleaned and the hygiene and sanitization. I just knew that was going to be the case, that, because, people were going to be concerned about that. So I read about it. I went online, did some research and learned more about it. And I reached out to GBAC STAR.
So you see that GBAC STAR accreditation is part of the solution for
I do.
mass gatherings.
I do. Listen, there's our venues. We take a lot of pride. I know a lot of people across the country who run venues take a lot of pride in things that we do at these venues and hosting them. And I know cleanliness is important to everybody, but I think now it's a little added level with the hygiene and the sanitization and, infection disease prevention and whatnot. So, we got to get people back, and we will get back. And I know how hard these people who manage venues, it's not just stadiums and arenas, but it's racetracks and performing arts centers and convention centers and movie theaters and office buildings, retail, everything. So I just, like I said, it became, I don't want to say a hobby, but it became a major interest of mine. How do I help in some way, shape, or form?
So if you were at an event talking to other managers of facilities, large venues, what advice would you give them?
I'm not sure. I'd have to give them a whole lot of advice. I know that they are doing their best to get these venues clean. And, who would ever thought we'd be disinfecting handrails on escalators and, the buttons on an elevator. And I know they're all doing this, or they're going to be doing it. But I also think that in a fan's eyes, we can tell them that, we're doing all these things. To be able to have a third party kind of certify your protocols, your procedures, your policies, your training, and provide feedback on what maybe you can be doing better, or the fact that you're doing everything that should be done. I think it's important. I think it's important to the venue to see if there's anything that they're missing. And I certainly think it's great for the fan to know that the venues that they're going to visit, where their favorite teams play, are doing everything possible to make it as safe and enjoyable as possible.